I'm 82 years old and I have less than $400 in my bank account. My car is 17 years old. I live in a small apartment that most people would consider beneath them. And I'm going to tell you something that will probably make you angry. I'm happier than you. I know that sounds arrogant. I know that sounds like something a crazy old man would say to make himself feel better about his failures. But here's the thing, I've been where you are. I've had the money, I've had the big house, the nice cars, the investments, the respect that comes with financial success. I had all of it, and I lost all of it. And losing everything was the greatest gift life ever gave me. But before you dismiss me as some fool who's rationalizing his failures, let me tell you how I got here. Because the story of how I became broke is also the story of how I became free. For 53 years, I worshipped money. Not openly. I didn't think of myself as greedy or materialistic. I told myself I was being responsible, providing for my family, building security. But the truth is, money was my God. Every decision I made, every sacrifice, every relationship I damaged, it was all in service of that green paper. I started working at 16, dropped out of college at 19, because I got a job offer that paid too well to refuse. By 25, I was making more than my father ever did. By 35, I owned my first business. By 50, I had 3 businesses, 2 homes, and a net worth that most people only dream about. And I was absolutely miserable. But I didn't know I was miserable. That's the trick. When you're on the hamster wheel, running as fast as you can, you don't have time to notice that you're going nowhere. You're too busy running. I remember this one night. I was 54 years old. I had just closed a deal that netted me more money in a single afternoon than my parents made in 10 years combined. I should have been celebrating. Instead, I was sitting in Martha's Mercedes in the parking lot of my office building at 11 o'clock at night, and I couldn't make myself go home. My wife was there. My children were there. Well, my children were supposed to be there. By then, my daughter barely spoke to me. My son had moved across the country, and I hadn't seen him in 2 years. I told myself it was because he was busy. The truth is, he didn't want to see me. I had missed his college graduation for a business meeting. Some things you can't take back. So I sat in that parking lot in a car that cost more than most people's houses, and I felt nothing. Just emptiness. A hollowness so deep that all the money in the world couldn't fill it. That should have been my wake-up call. It wasn't. I kept running for another 23 years. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold was my business partner for 15 years. Brilliant man. Made us both very wealthy. Harold lived for work. Vacation was a foreign concept to him. He used to say, "I'll rest when I'm dead." He got his wish. Harold died at 61. Heart attack, right at his desk. They found him slumped over a spreadsheet. The paramedics said he'd been dead for at least an hour before anyone noticed. An hour. Now, in an office full of people, nobody noticed that Harold wasn't moving anymore. That's how normal it was for him to be frozen in concentration at his desk. At his funeral, his wife looked like a stranger, because she was, really. Harold had been married to his work. His wife was just someone who shared his address. I stood at that funeral, and I told myself I would change. I promised myself I would slow down. I would reconnect with my family. I would stop sacrificing everything for the next dollar. Within 2 weeks, I was back to 70-hour work weeks, because the machine doesn't stop. The bills don't stop. The competition doesn't stop. And somewhere along the way, I had forgotten how to stop. Here's what nobody tells you about money. It's a jealous lover. The more you give it, the more it demands. You think you're in control, but you're not. It controls you. Every decision becomes about protecting what you have and getting more. You can't enjoy a sunset because you're thinking about tomorrow's meeting. You can't be present with your grandchild because your phone keeps buzzing with urgent emails. Nothing is ever urgent. I know that now. Almost nothing in business is truly urgent. But the system is designed to make you feel like everything is on fire all the time. Because scared people work harder. Anxious people don't question the treadmill. They just keep running. I'm going to tell you the moment everything changed. I was 77 years old. I had just been diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer, stage 3. The doctor was explaining treatment options, survival rates, side effects, and all I could think about was my money. Not my family, not my legacy. Not the things I hadn't done or the words I hadn't said. I was thinking about my investments, my portfolio, what would happen to my assets. And in that moment, sitting in that sterile doctor's office, under those harsh fluorescent lights, something cracked inside me. I saw myself clearly for the first time in 6 decades. I saw a man who had traded his entire life for numbers on a screen, numbers that meant nothing, numbers that couldn't hold my hand, numbers that wouldn't weep at my funeral. I went home that night and I looked at my wife, really looked at her. She was 75 years old. We had been married for 52 years, and I realized I didn't know her anymore. Somewhere between the deals and the meetings and the constant chase for more, I had lost her. She was still there physically, but the connection, the intimacy, the partnership, it had withered and died while I was too busy to notice. I started crying, 77 years old, and I wept like a child. For all the years I had wasted, for all the moments I had missed, for the man I had become. That night, I made a decision that everyone in my life thought was insane. I started giving it away, not all at once. I'm not a saint, but I stopped holding on so tightly. I paid off my children's mortgages. I funded my grandchildren's education. I donated to causes I had ignored for decades because I was too busy accumulating. I downsized, then I downsized again, and something miraculous happened. With every dollar I released, I felt lighter. The money had been a weight I didn't even know I was carrying. For 50 years, I had been convinced that my net worth was my safety, my security, my identity. But it was a prison. Here's what I learned, and I wish I had learned it 50 years ago. Money is a tool, nothing more. When you have enough to meet your basic needs, every dollar beyond that has diminishing returns on your happiness. Studies prove this, but more importantly, I lived it. The happiest moments of my life in these last 5 years have cost almost nothing, sitting on my small balcony at sunrise with a cup of coffee, really tasting it, really feeling the warmth of the sun on my face, not thinking about what I needed to accomplish that day, just existing, holding my great-granddaughter for the first time, looking into those tiny eyes and understanding, finally, that this is what life is for. Not the accumulation, the connection, calling my son and saying the words I should have said 30 years ago. I'm sorry, I failed you. I chose work over you, and I was wrong. The silence on the phone that followed, then his voice cracking. then both of us crying. We talk every week now, every single week. And those conversations are worth more than every deal I ever closed. Walking through my old neighborhood with nothing in my pockets but my keys. No phone, no agenda, just noticing things, the way the light filters through the trees, the sound of children playing, the smell of someone's garden. I had walked these streets 1,000 times and never actually seen them. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, that's easy for you to say. You already made the money. You had the luxury of giving it away. And you're right, I did have that luxury. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't need to wait until you're 77 and staring down cancer to learn what actually matters. You can learn it now. You can stop the madness now. I meet young people who are killing themselves to make partner, to get the promotion, to hit the next income bracket. They're sacrificing their health, their relationships, their youth, and for what? So they can spend their 60s in doctors' offices trying to undo the damage they did in their 40s. Let me tell you something about health. You can't buy it back. I have the money to afford the best doctors, the best treatments, the best care. But no amount of money can give me back the years I stripped off my life through stress and neglect. The body keeps score. It remembers every skipped meal, every sleepless night, every moment you pushed through when you should have rested. My friend Robert understood this too late. Robert was a surgeon, wealthy beyond measure, retired at 68 with plans to finally enjoy life. 6 months into retirement, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, spent his final years unable to hold a coffee cup steady. All that money, and he couldn't feed himself without help. You're not going to beat the system by working harder. The system is designed to extract everything from you and leave you empty at the end. The only way to win is to refuse to play. Right now, someone watching this is thinking, but I have responsibilities, bills, debt. I can't just stop. I'm not telling you to stop working. I'm telling you to stop worshipping. There's a difference. Work to live. Don't live to work. Earn what you need and a reasonable cushion beyond that. But don't sacrifice your one precious life chasing a number that will never be high enough. Because it won't be. Whatever number you think will make you feel secure, I promise you, when you reach it, you'll just raise the target. I had $10 million at one point. 10 million. And I was terrified of losing it. I was more anxious, more stressed, more paranoid than when I had 10,000. Money doesn't cure fear, it feeds it. The more you have, the more you have to lose. I'm 82 years old. I have stage 3 cancer that's currently in remission but could return any day. I live in a modest apartment. I drive an old car. I have less than $400 in my checking account, and I wake up every morning and grateful. Not because I'm in denial about my situation, but because I finally understand what the situation actually is. We're all dying. From the moment we're born, the clock is ticking. You can spend that time accumulating things that will be sold at estate sales after you're gone, or you can spend it actually living, actually connecting, actually being present for this brief, impossible gift of existence. My tombstone won't say he had an impressive portfolio. Nobody's does. They say, beloved father, devoted friend. He made us laugh. The things that matter cannot be bought. I spent 50 years learning this lesson the hard way. I'm giving it to you for free. Call your mother today, not next week, today. because next week isn't guaranteed for either of you. Take the trip you've been postponing. You're not promised tomorrow. The perfect time will never come. Tell the people you love that you love them, out loud to their faces. Don't assume they know. Say the words. Stop impressing strangers. The people at your funeral will be the ones you ignored while you are busy performing for people who don't care if you live or die. Rest before you're forced to rest. Your body will shut down eventually. You can choose to rest now, on your terms, or later in a hospital bed. Find something that makes you feel alive that doesn't involve earning or spending money. A hobby, a passion, a practice, something that reminds you that you are more than your productivity. I'm not going to be here much longer. The doctors give me optimistic estimates, but I've buried too many friends who outlived their estimates in the wrong direction. Every day now feels borrowed. Every sunrise feels like a gift I don't deserve. And I'm telling you, from the other side of all that striving, all that accumulating, all that sacrificing, it wasn't worth it. The money wasn't worth what I paid for it. You can believe me now, or you can learn it yourself in 50 years. But either way, you will learn it. Everyone does, eventually. The only question is whether you learn it in time to do something about it. I'm 82 and broke, and I'm happier than I've ever been. What does that tell you about everything you think you know? The clock is ticking. It always has been. The only question that matters is this. When it stops, will you be at peace with how you spent your time? I finally am. I pray you don't wait as long as I did to find that peace. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's running on the hamster wheel right now, too busy to notice they're going nowhere. Maybe they'll listen, maybe they won't, but at least you gave them the chance. That's all any of us can do. Give each other the chance to wake up. Wake up before it's too late.